I'm Nicole Chamberlain. I'm a composer and a flutist, and today we're going to talk about printing your own chamber music for sale in retail. So why would you bother in this day and age printing your music? Well, there's some really good reasons. A lot of musicians still like the paper, but also people, when they go to conventions and fairs, want to have something tangible to take with them or purchase. And that's where I found my biggest success are in conventions, selling my own music person to person. And so to do that, you need to print it. First, you have to buy a printer that can do the formatting that you want. Standard printers will print 8.5 by 11, your standard notebook size. And those are great, those are fine, those will get you by. But if you want something to look a little more polished and a little more complete, you might want to consider a larger format. 9 by 12 printers are not very cheap, so I've had a compromise. I wanted to do the traditional standard folding and stapled version, which I should have some. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so maybe not as prepared as I thought it was. So this is the end product. So it is staple bound. So I have printed it. I get 11 by 17 paper. I fold it in half, and then you staple it. So this is the middle staple. Staples around the outside, and I'll show you how to make this, and also the parts that go with it. All right, so first thing first, you need to buy a printer that does that. So this prints 11 by 17. This is an HP color laser. This is an HP color LaserJet. It is model number CP5225. And it has been the best printer I've had. I've tried to do refurbished ones, and those usually poop out on me pretty early and I have to get a new one. So I went through, this is my 4th printer actually. I print a lot, and it does the job that I need. And it ran me about $1,800. And I know that seems really steep, and it was really hard for me to buy it. But you got to kind of think of it as like a musician would buy, put a lot of money in their instrument. You need a good printer. It's really frustrating to print as is. This would make it less frustrating when you have a working printer that prints all the time. And trust me, I know. I used to hate having to hit that print button and something would break or jam. This one, it's nice because it works all the time. Okay, and then, so I have that, and it can print 11 by 17. Then you have to find the right paper. What I did is I went down to my local paper store, and there are some. I use Veritiv Express. I'm really fortunate. They live just a mile away from me. And so I went in there with my favorite score and from a different publisher, and I handed it to the representative behind the counter, and he was able to match the paper weight and the paper color and even the finish I wanted. So after that, it was pretty easy. So I'm grateful for that. So I use Veritiv. They used to be Paper Source or Unisource owned them, which is funny because I used to do their website back in the day. And now you can go to any paper store probably, and maybe even any print shop, and like Kinko's or something, and they'll have like samples, and you can kind of test for yourself and see what you want. You want something weighted enough where the music doesn't show through on either side. 2 different kinds of paper that I have to use. You need your cover. Oh, that's nice. You have to use I use gloss. You can kind of see how it's shining, a gloss paper, and it's 80-pound weight. So it's a really heavy outside cover. And it is made by Verso, Blazer Digital. And it comes in 250 packs, 250 sheet packs. So like 250 compositions or publications. So a pack will last you a long time. And I think they charged me $13.31 for a pack of the gloss cover Blazer Digital. And I cut out the paper label so that I can make sure I have the right thing, and I can just come into the paper store and just give it to them, because sometimes it's not the same person. And the other thing I do is I get the inside paper. So this is the paper I use. It's also very weighted. It's very thick. It's not like your standard printer paper. And it is, and I always have the receipt because there's no way I can remember all these numbers. I'm terrible with numbers. It's also 11 by 17, obviously. And it's 70 pounds, white Williamsburg, smooth, opaque. Again, like you can get all sorts of finishes like gloss, matte, especially even on the cover. If you don't like gloss, you can get matte. If you don't want it shiny, you can get it flat. And you can get different colors if you want. I use white because I do like on this Chivy right here, that's the cover. I like to do vibrant covers now. This one was one of my first publications, and I had a lot of music I needed to print, so I was pretty lazy and just put 2 flutes on it because it was a flute duo. But as I've gotten progressively caught up, I've been redoing covers, and Chivy was a newer composition, and so I was able to just design it well for that one. Or the way I really want it. I don't know if it's well or not. So let's get started. So first thing you're gonna need is a bone folder, and I picked this up at a craft store for like $3 or $4. And they're great. They're gonna help you get a crisp edge. Now you can get like a folding machine and a stapling machine, but yeah, that's expensive. So this is the score for Railroaded. I can't talk anymore. Anyway. You just give it a good old fold. Use your bone folder and just pull it all the way down. And then we are going to remove onto parts. So I like to do everything at the same time. So right now I'm going to do folding. This is the alto flute part. Just going to fold it. Now you see why the shoe rack comes in handy. I can kind of organize what I'm doing. Bass flute. And it just depends on the instrumentation. And put the bass flute on the bottom. You can also do these more than one at a time. So I can do flute 1, flute 2. You don't have to do them individually. I usually will do up to 6. But this is such a short composition with a narrow instrumentation. I usually just do them one at a time. It just makes, to me, it's just a controlled freak aspect. You could probably do more than one, but I feel like I keep it straight if I just do it this way. And then the cover. So I fold that. This bone folder, by the way, if you get it at a craft store, it's like, it'll be in like the scrapbooking section. And now I have all my parts. Now I need to bind them. So I have this stapler. You can get it at most office supply stores. It's a little dusty. I haven't had to like print in a while. This is a swing line, only the best. And so I can position the stapler as far as I need to, depending on the width. So right now I have it like at 8.5 because that's going to be the end width of the folded piece. And I just set it there because that's the only thing I staple bind. So I'll do that. So I take the cover and I take the score. I put that right in, and then I open it up right at the fold so that it's in the middle, the very middle of the piece. And then I flip it over because I want the ragged edges of the staple to be on the inside so it doesn't get anybody. Move that over. And then it's just kind of for me, actually, I like to do it this way. It's just a weird control thing. Okay, because I actually use this as a measurement. I do a staple here at the top, staple here at the bottom, and somewhere in the middle. I am not the type of person that likes to fuss with the measurements, so I keep it pretty loose where I staple. And that's it. Stapled. I can now flip through the parts. I flip through the score. It's bound. And then I take the parts, and if I needed to, if these were more than one page, but they're not, they're very short, so they're just the one. I mean, I could have just taken one 8.5 by 11 and printed on either side, but I like, if I can eliminate page turns, I will, even though there's opportunities. This also gives it a nice little cover. So that's something I like to do. Then I put all the parts together, score order. So flute 1, flute 2, flute 3, flute 4, flute alto, bass. I like to flip it upside down so that the unfolded and open edges are protected by the score. And the stronger parts are on the outside. It keeps things a little tidier, and they also, like, if I put them in the other way, there's more edge exposed, and it makes the edges ragged. They stay their shape a little bit better if they're upside down and inside. Which makes it a little hard at fairs, because people think that's a mistake, and they'll flip it for you, trying to be nice, but actually they're not. They're giving me more work. So that's it. Title on the front, instrumentation on the back. I also do like other flute work. So maybe down the road they'll want to play other stuff of mine, and it's right here. I got the logo right here, and I have my price. You can do all of the little number cataloging if you want, but I don't bother with that just yet. And I have all the other information on the title page, and we'll talk about engraving in another video, but this is how you construct your publications, and that's all there is to it. So I hope that was informative and helpful. I get asked a lot how I actually construct my stuff and how I get it done. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You're gonna make them. You can always correct them later, and just do the thing. And then once you get comfortable doing the trade shows, which will also be a video later about trade shows and conventions, you can also send your music to retailers. And sometimes you meet those retailers at flute fairs. Well, I meet them at flute fairs, at fairs and conventions, and you can build a rapport. They can physically handle your sheet music and determine that that's a product they want to sell. And usually that's the best time to acquire those connections. And then you can sell to those retailers can sell your stuff. Then they can go to all those fairs and conventions that you can't afford to go to because they're just so far away, or there's just too many. So I hope you like this video, found it helpful. You can hit subscribe. I'll be posting more videos of how I do the independent composer life. You can check out my website at nikkinotes.com. You can check out my own publishing company, spottedrocket.com. And we'll talk about in future videos about self-publishing and all of those fantastic things. So buy your printer, get it set up on a beautiful table, and get to work.